Well, hey, good looking. You want to see what we have cooking today in my kitchen? Well, grab a hold of that vine and swing on in my kitchen and let's get cooking. Good looking. Today, I'm going to sit there and show you how to can up a much leaner version of the canned Spam. And trust me, folks, you're going to want to sit there and pay attention to this video, because when I tell you this is a lean version of Spam, I do mean we're canning up a lean version of Spam. It is such a healthier version too, so be sure to follow me. Now grab a hold of that vine and let's get cooking. Good looking. Alright, today we have a few canning projects going on in Teasers Pleasers Kitchen here, and I'm bringing you along so I can show you how to make your very own Spam. So let's go ahead and let's get started with this recipe. You're going to be wanting to start out with 1 pound, and that's what I have here, of a Boston butt, or sometimes it's also known as a pork shoulder, whatever you call it in your area. We're going to need 1 pound of that. Now go ahead, divide this into thirds. There, I divided it all up into thirds. Now I want you to cube up each one of these thirds into little, I guess you could say, bite-sized pieces. So I'm going to sit there and go ahead and cube these all up. There's our 3 piles, and they're all cubed up. Now we have to mix up the cure. Okay, we're going to need 1 tablespoon, and please make sure that you're using like a Morton's Tender Quick home meat cure. So 1 tablespoon of that. Now we're going to be needing 2 tablespoons of sugar. And last, we're going to be needing 4 tablespoons of clear gel, and that's what I have back here in my big old canister. So now, let's go ahead and give that all a good mix. And there we have everything all nicely mixed up. Now, for each third of meat, we're going to be using 1/3 of the cure. Now, I have a food processor off on the side here, and 1/3 of this meat, food processor, as you see, I don't have quite enough room for everything all to fit in the screen, so I'm gonna grab one of these 3 piles, and I'm gonna put it all into my food processor. Now this first third of meat, along with 1/3 of the cure back here, we're going to sit there and basically, we're going to emulsify the heck out of it. You're going to want this first third pretty liquefied. The first third of meat into a bowl. Let's go ahead and remove it. And this is what I want yours to basically look like. I know it doesn't look pretty, but remember, we're in the process of making our own Spam. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to transfer this all into a bowl down here. And then we're going to put the next third of meat into our processor. Next third of meat into the food processor. And let's grab another third of the cure. Now this, we're not going to chop up nearly as fine as what we did the first. Let's go ahead and let's look at this. Okay, yes, that's how we want that 1/3 of meat to look. I will show you so you get the gist of how I want yours to look. See, it's not chopped up as fine as the first. This third of meat into our bowl as well. And now we're going to have the last third of meat to chop up, and that's not going to be chopped up nearly as much as this third was. So let's add the last third of meat along with the last third of the cure. And now we're just going to roughly chop this third up. Yes, that's how I want the last third to look. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to add all this into our bowl. And I'll try to show you the 3 different piles that I have. Now, as you see, here is the one that we did the most processing of, chopping up. It's mostly almost liquefied. This third, not as much as the first, but not as less as the last third. And the last third, as you see, is pretty chunky. Now, what you're going to have to do is get yourself a 1/2 cup of ice cold water. It's very important that it's ice cold. Go ahead, take that 1/2 cup of water, and now mix it all in your meat. And now you're going to want to mix all of this together. I'll be back in a second. All right, as you see, I have it all mixed up. And now we're going to sit there and pack it all into our jars. Now, we're going to pack it into 1/2 pint jars. So here's my 1/2 pint jar. And now just take it and fill up your jars, and as you're filling it up, pack it in. I have just a little too much, I think. 1-inch head space, but make sure you push down on it pretty good. let's go ahead and let's do that again. And as I'm packing or filling the jar, I'm also packing it and trying to make sure there are no air pockets. Alright, let's remove our canning funnel, remove our bowl. In this bowl I have some vinegar. Now I'm going to take my paper toweling and we're going to sit there, go ahead, take this, dip it into our vinegar. We're going to grab one of our jars and we're going to wipe that rim and make sure that you're wiping it extremely well. Sometimes I like going over 2 times. Never can be, you know, to me, you just can't overdo it. My ring area up here on top that I remove, like here, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there's some meat there. I don't want none of that there. I will sit there, clean it all the way around, and if some of that comes up in the paper toweling as it did right there, I will turn it over. Now I will re-dip into the vinegar and I'm going to sit there and re-wipe. Now if you don't want to go through that extreme, you don't have to. But to me, I just feel safer when I do. So I'm going to continue to do the rest of this and then we'll be back to follow the next step. Let's go ahead and place our lids all on our clean, wiped down rims. Grab that canning ring, go ahead, put it on, finger tight. We're going to do that to all of them. And now we're going to sit there and place these all in the fridge for the next, let's say 24 hours before we process them. And as you see, they're already starting to look like Spam that you would buy from in the store in your jars. So we're going to allow them to cure for the 24 hours in our fridge. Well, you know what time it is. I took our Spam out of the refrigerator and I allowed it to come up to room temperature. Yeah, give or take about 1 hour. And then now we're going to be sitting there coming over to our little beauty, our new little toy, our pressure canner, our electric pressure canner by Carrie. And I already sat there and put 4 cups of water on the inside. And now we can go ahead and put our Spam inside on the canning rack that's also inside of our pressure canner. Okay, I just wanted to show you what it looks like before we do put it in the pressure canner here. Funny thing is, it does already look like Spam. So I'm going to go ahead, grab all these, and I'm going to commence putting them in the pressure canner. Now go ahead, let's close the lid. Lock it into place. Now I'm going to sit there and I'm going to come down here And I'm going to select the high pressure, and because these are half pints, I believe the processing time was 75 minutes, so go ahead, set your time, to 75 minutes. And now go ahead, press start, make sure that your pressure valve up on top is open to the exhaust, and the carry pressure canner here will sit there and alert us when it's sitting there doing the countdown of the exhaust of the steam from the pressure canner, as it would, or as we would with our regular pressure canners. But this is doing it all for me, and I'll be back and show you what we do next. Now, as you see on the screen how this is going around and around and around, well, that's going to keep going around and around until all the pressure on the inside is built up. And then once the pressure on the inside is all built up, on the display model here, you're going to sit there and see E10. That's when we're going to come up here and we're going to sit there and turn that limiting valve to airtight. And then the countdown from E10 will count down to E0. Okay, E10 now just showed up. Now we're going to come up here and we're going to put it to airtight. Now this is going to continue to count down to E0, and then when it comes down to E0, it will sit there and start the countdown of the time that we set it at, which was 75 minutes. And it went to our 75 minutes as I told you it would. And now I'll see you in 75. I don't have to sit here and babysit this pressure canner like I have to with that I would do on the stovetops. You're going to want to sit there and have your electric pressure canner release naturally. Do not force it. And then after it releases naturally, you can take out your canned Spam, and this is what it looks like. For some reason, I lost the video footage off of my SD card, so I have to sit there and redo the ending. But right here, this is the finished product. And folks, this is a hell of a lot leaner than the shit that you would buy in the cans. And I'm sorry for my language, but I mean, if you ever bought one of them canned Spams, oh my god, they look so gross. And it's a big turnoff to me. That's all I can sit there and say. This is so much of a leaner version of it, and it tastes pretty goddamn darn good. Now, if you liked what you saw here today, go down, hit that like button, go up above. If you're not a subscriber already to my channel, hit the subscribe button, tap that little bell, that way you'll always be notified every time I put out a new video. And happy holidays to each and every one of yous, and y'all come back now, you hear?